Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the list management in Eye in the Sky screener to organize your stocks. So let's get started. The first thing that you will notice on list management is this view box at the top. And the system comes with 4 default views that you can use to organize your stocks. You'll see them listed here: portfolio, short-term prospects, favorites, and blacklists. Let me just cover really quick what each one of these is. Portfolio would be all the things that you're holding in your portfolio. Short-term prospects are the stocks that you're considering getting into in the very short term. Favorites are stocks that you rotate through on a normal basis, so they're not quite set up yet, but you like to trade those stocks and you want to keep them at your disposal, so you would keep them in that favorites list. And then the blacklist is to prevent a stock from showing up in any of the filtered results unless you explicitly go into the blacklist. So it kind of excludes stocks from showing up. And that way, if there's certain stocks that you never trade and you never want to see them again, you would put them in the blacklist. The way that you actually take stocks and put them in the list is by hitting the first letter of each one of these list names. So P for portfolio, S for short-term prospects, F for favorites, and then the B for blacklist. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's say that we're looking at this AA here, and for whatever reason we never want to see it again. So we hit the B key on our keyboard while we're on that stock on the left side. And if we move out of that row, we'll notice that it's turned black and white, indicating that it is currently in the blacklist. So if we refresh the screen just by doing a clear filters, you'll notice that that AA stock will disappear from the list once it's finished refreshing here. And I will never see that stock again unless I explicitly go back to this view list and select blacklist and delete it from that list. And the way you delete things from a list is you highlight them in the grid on the left and hit your delete key on your keyboard. And I've just done that on AA, so we should see that disappear out of this blacklist. So now if we go back to the main view, we'll see that AA appear in the results again. So what you normally would do is run a filter, and this bottom reversal is one I like to run a lot. And once that refreshes here, you'd go through the stocks, see how they're set up, and we'll just go to the FinViz chart through this My Web Pages to take a look at the patterns and see where they're at in respect to the patterns. And I'll click this maximize button on the right to kind of see more of the web browser. You can toggle that if you hit it, the negative sign when it expands. Kind of toggles it back and forth. That way you can hide the filter section up at the top of the screen and see more of the web page at one time. So anyway, let's just kind of rip through these. And to go through the stocks, you'd use your up and down arrow keys on your keyboard. And so I'm just kind of going through each one of these with the down arrow key. And, you know, I'm not really going to get into the technical aspects of these things, these particular stocks. I'm just going to pick a couple of them because for brevity in recording this video, and so we can get through it pretty quick, I'm just going to pick off about 5 stocks there. And all I did was hit the S key on the keyboard while I was on that stock to put them in the short-term prospects list. So those 5 stocks are now in the short-term prospect list. So if we collapse this bottom portion of the screen, put it back to normal, and we go to the short-term prospects list, you'll see those 5 stocks in that list. Now let's say that we were going through this list and for whatever reason we wanted to move this particular stock into the long-term favorites list from the short-term prospects list. All you'd have to do is highlight the stock and hit the F key for favorites, and it'll take that stock out of that list and move it over to the favorites list. So now if we run over to the favorites list, we'll notice that that stock got moved from short-term prospects over to favorites. And you can, of course, move it back to the short-term prospects by hitting the S key, which I just did. And then we go back over to short-term prospects. You can actually move multiple items at the same time. So let's say we wanted to move 4 of these. We'd use the Shift key on our keyboard and highlight all the ones that we wanted to move. This is like regular multiple selection type thing in Windows. Using the Shift or Control keys allows you to select multiple items. So a shift is a range. So if you highlight the first thing and you hold Shift down, the last thing that you click, everything between those will be highlighted. And if you highlight the first thing and you hold the Control key down, you can actually individually select multiple items without having everything in between selected. So I use my control key on my keyboard to select all three of those things. And let's say we hit the F key now. It'll take those three and move them over to my favorites list. And what we're left with is are these two stocks. So that's the lists that are built into the software. You can actually create your own list, like the 10 for 1,000 list. So let's choose Create New from this View menu. And let's actually call that 10 for 1,000. And you choose the key code you wanted to use on your keyboard to specify how you would move things in that list. And I'll use 1 for that. And then you notice how these lists were color-coded with yellow or red. We can actually do that with this list. So let's change the background color to something like blue, a dark blue. And let's change the text to be white so it shows up on that background, and then hit Save. And let's say we wanted to move one of these items into the 10 for 1,000 list. I hit 1 on Epic. And now, if we switch over to 10 for 1,000, we'll go ahead and see that Epic is in that list. So that's basic list management. It's a good way to organize your stocks so you don't have to look at the entire list, this blank entry at the top of the box. You won't have to look at, say there's 150 stocks in your filter and you didn't want to get any more narrow than that. Then you could just move out the ones you really like to rotate through into these other lists and be on those lists while you have a filter in place to really to optimize the process of going through those stocks. So that's list management. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at support@eyeintheskyscreener.com, and I'll be happy to answer those. And keep in mind, every week on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I hold webinar events for educational content, and it's a free-form event that you're able to ask questions freely to me. I've created the software, so you're actually talking to the person who created the software. So it's a great forum for you to learn more about the software and also ask questions specifically on tailoring the software to your needs and your trading style. So I hope that you RSVP for that event through the education. There's an education page on the website, and if you go in through that, you can click the RSVP button and schedule yourself in for a Wednesday night, and we can look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much for your time, and enjoy your day.